Your story holds power. You may be asking, DeShaun, what do you mean by my story has power and that it holds the power for others? What I mean by that is very quite simple. And I'm going to get to that. I'm actually going to get to that very soon. But so many people believe my story, I have nothing to give. I have nothing to teach. I have nothing to offer. I have nothing to spread. There is no one in the world that wants to hear my story. There is nothing that anyone can take away from my story. My story is all about the trials and the tribulations and the shortcomings and the problems that I had. My story has no significance in the life of others. Can I just tell you this? That's where you're wrong. So many people believe that their story holds no power. They believe that their story is not going to inspire someone. But let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. Your story holds more power than you actually think. Can I tell you how I know this? Because I am standing in front of each and every one of you today to tell you that your story holds power. I'm here sharing my knowledge with you today. So, the topic of today is leverage your story. It's something that I teach on. It's something that as a leader, you must know what your calling is. My calling is leadership, but my calling is to help you leverage your story. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm not here to pitch anything. I'm just here to give you information. But let me do it in this way. I'm going to tell you a story, and then I'm going to leverage that story. There was a guy born by the name of DeShaun Williams in Greenwood, South Carolina. He was born the second child to Melissa Williams. Has a brother named DeJavis Andrews. But he was not born DeShaun Williams. He was born DeShaun Andrews. He did not know his father. His brother, on the other hand, did know his father. As time progressed, DeMarco and DeJavis stayed in the house. Their mother was nowhere to be found. They would be in this house by themselves for anywhere between 2 weeks to 3 months. Well, during that time, DeMarco was about a year old, if that. DeJavis was about 2.5 years old, if that. But DeJavis had to see about his younger brother. He had to make sure that his younger brother was fed and was cleaned and was taken care of. DeJavis was the example of being a leader at a young age. Time progressed to where the Department of Social Services came into the house, took DeJavis Andrews from the house, placed him in custody with his father. And then the Department of Social Services came into the house again and got DeMarco Williams, or DeMarco Andrews. DeMarco did not know who these people were, but he heard somebody knocking at the door. He walks up to the door. He opens it. He looks up. It's a guy standing in front of him. He does not know this guy. The guy walks in, picks him up, takes him into the bathroom, and washes him. Make sure that he is clean. The guy then gets DeMarco, puts him in a car with his clothes, and takes him to an office. At this office, they are calling everyone that is immediate family for DeMarco, telling them that they have a set amount of time to get DeMarco, or he was going to be a ward of the state. They finally get someone. It's the grandmother. She's on her way to the Kingdom Hall for Jehovah's Witness. Instead of her saying, I have another obligation, she says, no, I am not going to allow y'all to give him to the state to where we cannot see him anymore. We're going to come and get him. So they arrive. DeMarco is now placed in custody of his grandparents. DeMarco stays with his grandparents starting at the age of 3 years old. His mother comes back into his life. But it's not all the giggles and the fun time and unicorns that most people would tend to believe. She is staying with the grandparents, her parents, who has taken custody of DeMarco Williams, because she has nowhere to go. As she is staying with them, right before she moves out after she does get a place after about a year, she is asked, does she wants to get custody of DeMarco back? Her response was, no, he's no longer my responsibility. He is your responsibility. Did you know that DeMarco was sitting there playing with his toys when she said this? So this led up to adoption. So we fast forward another year and a half. DeMarco is now in 4th grade, but he has to go in front of the judge and say that he does want to be adopted by his grandparents. His mother does not show in court. His mother does not show in court. Therefore, it is official. DeMarco is adopted. He goes from DeMarco Rashawn Andrews to DeMarco Rashawn Williams. At that point, his mom is wiped off the birth certificate as the mother. She becomes his sister. His grandfather becomes his father. His grandmother becomes his mother. DeMarco loses his grandfather/father in 7th grade. Now all he is left with is his grandmother. That's all he is left with. Times are hard because DeMarco never really was connected to his grandmother as much as he was with his grandfather. So he doesn't know about how he should go about talking to her about certain things. But he knows that she cares for him and that she will do anything that she can to make sure that he is provided with everything that he needs. Not everything that he wants, but everything that he needs. In 2018, DeMarco Williams is seen at church, but he's looking down. He doesn't look like himself. he is asked, what is wrong? And he tells the person, well, I was contemplating suicide last night. They asked him why. DeMarco could not give them an answer. The best thing that he could tell them is, I'm just tired. I'm tired of being here. I'm tired of being alive. He doesn't think anything else about it until 3 days later, when he goes back to the church and they tell him that they heard that he contemplated suicide and that they was going to admit him into a hospital. That he could go on his own power or he could go and force to be gone. So DeMarco decides to go under his own power, but he cannot drive himself there. He is driven to the hospital. He is at the hospital and they diagnose him with code red depression, which is the highest level of depression there is. Because when you have code red depression, they say that the only way that you believe that you can get out of a situation is by killing yourself. They go on to tell DeMarco that he will never be able to coach, inspire, motivate, or lead others the way that the very successful leaders have, because it's not within him. And then they say, your health insurance declined, so you have a $19,000 medical bill. So they kick him while he's down. But they also told him that he would never be able to do what others could do. And so with that, DeMarco sees it as motivation, as dedication, as inspiration to do exactly what they said he could not do. He goes out, when he checks out of the hospital a week later, he starts up a podcast. He runs that podcast for 3 years. He becomes a published author, and he also becomes the youngest security supervisor at the age of 20. Why is this story important? Because DeMarco Rashawn Andrews / DeMarco Rashawn Williams is me, DeShaun Williams. I'm here to tell you that your story holds power. How do I take that story and how do I leverage it? I leverage that story by telling you where I grew up, how I grew up, what I faced, the adversity that I went through growing up. Not having a father, not knowing who my father was, with 16 different DNA tests, my mother not being in my life, my brother being relocated and staying with his father, me living with my grandparents, not really seeing my brother that much. I then go on to tell you more adversity that I faced when I lived. When I was growing up, more adversity that I faced when I thought I was the biggest thing on the planet. And then I tell you what my breaking point was. But you didn't necessarily get to hear the breaking point. And that's what so many people forget when they try to leverage that story. They leave out the breaking point. The breaking point. You're working 68 hours a week. You're going to school full time. You just had a failed engagement. You lost your best friend to an overdose. That was my breaking point. I was tired. I was physically and mentally and emotionally tired. That was the breaking point. But can I tell you that when you go out and you empower and you inspire the lives of others, you need to let people know. You need to let others know where you were, where you went, and where you are now, and where you see yourself in the future. So I've told you where I was. I told you where I went. I've told you the breaking point. Now, where am I now? I am here now in front of you, explaining to you how to leverage your story so that you can empower and inspire the lives of others. You say that your story holds no power. You say that nobody cares about who you truly are. You say that your story cannot free someone else. Can I tell you, you are wrong. You are wrong, my friend. And the reason why I say that you are wrong is because there is somebody out there that is going through what you have been through. It may not be the same circumstances. It may not be the same lifestyle, but I can definitely tell you they are going through something that is similar to what you have been through. So how does your story free them? Your story frees them because your story is not for you. Your story is for everyone else to hear. We say that we are leaders, but yet we fail to do the one thing that we are called to do as leaders. And what is that? That is to empower the lives of others through our testimony, through our story. You can't be a leader if you're not doing that. Well, I guess you can, but you're leaving out a key component. Because as a leader, we are not called to create followers. We are called to create more leaders. We are called to empower, to inspire, and to leverage who we are and what we have been through. I am a Christian. I do not believe that God created struggle to hold us back. God created struggle to make us, not break us. You think about it. A little baby bird will get out of the nest and try to fly after it gets pushed out. It fails, but it continues to try. Our story holds the power. It shows where we tried. It shows where we failed. And it shows where we learned. It also shows how we can get to where we need to be at. It also shows how we can use that as a testimony. Your past does not dictate your future. Your story is your story. Why is your story important? Because there is no one else out there that is like you. There is no one else out there that can be you. So why are we trying to be someone else? That is the question that you must answer. Why are you trying to be someone else? Your story is attached to you. You use your story to motivate others. You use your story to empower others. When you share your story, when you share how you expect to empower and inspire and motivate and lead the lives of others, don't you know that more doors open up for you now than when you said, oh, I'm going to keep my story to myself because it has a lot of dark things. Can I tell you? Did I tell you? Your story is not for you. But also, let me tell you this. You hold the key to someone else's beginning. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. Learn how to use your story, leverage your story, and empower the lives of others. That is my message for you today.